Okay, so let's get into this idea here a little bit. Um, we know that that front end of the funnel is really important, but if we focus on what happens when they onboard, right? After the yes, after they say yes, what kind of things could we do to really move the lever?
So the framework that I use is as just a very high level overview, real quick, just to explain the context is.
Sure.
So I have it's called four sales framework. So it's based on the idea that everybody will focus on the first sale, which is the moment of payment, their enrollment, as the most important. Spend a lot of time in practicing and scripting and sales strategy and everything, but there's actually three more moments throughout the client journey where I'll argue there are needs just as much nuance and practice and scripting to help you really again make the most out of that client. And so those other three moments are the total four sales moments are the enrollment. The second one is the onboarding, which come back to just like you said. The third one is what I call advocacy. So that can go in either direction of referral, testimonial, or of course both. And then the fourth one is ascension. And then that's of course where somebody is either going into another product you have, or they're continuing on with the same product or downgrading, things like that. So with that kind of framework, narrowing in on onboarding though is honestly, even though it is quote the second sale, to be honest, it's usually the first one that I will start with when working with a client in this capacity, just because it has the most leverage for everything else, and I'll explain why. So to answer your question, in terms of what are the things that people can do, the onboarding I like to break down really, really simply is within the first 72 hours of a client coming into your call, container program, whatever. Within the first 72 hours of a client coming into your container, you need to achieve four different states within that client. And this, of course, goes a little bit to, psychology, how they're feeling, et cetera. But we can also dial this back to very specific things in terms of deliverables or how you interact with them, et cetera. So it's not as woo-woo as it might sound. So the four shifts though are safety, clarity, momentum, and identity. And
Ooh.
so for each one of those things, again, within the first 72 hours, if you can achieve those things, the likelihood that that client will then turn into somebody who will refer or give you a great testimonial or will be able to ascend or continue into something else is so much greater. In terms of the tactics behind achieving each of those things, it's actually break down really simply, really quick, which is so safety just takes you from did I make a mistake
That
to
was the question I was going to ask. What do you mean by
yep,
safety?
yep,
So,
yeah, yeah, 100%.
of
So,
course, second guessing that decision is, do they ask for a refund? Did I get this right? And so that's the word safety came in because I was like, how did that's good.
100%, yeah, yeah. And so basically what each of those mean, and also just some very quick, easy things you can implement to have each of those four things within your onboarding. So safety is basically taking, I like to say, taking somebody from, did I make a mistake, like you said, to if something goes wrong, I know who to contact and I know when to expect a response. So essentially it's just that feeling of I'm taken care of, right? The easiest way that I love to install this is having a what I like to call a safety call 12 hours or no more than 12 hours after somebody has purchased. And this call is literally just to check in, say, hey, really proud of you for making this decision. This could be from a CSM person, this could be from the closers, could be from the founder, whoever, but just a very quick call, 10, 15 minutes tops that just says, hey, really proud of you for making this decision. I just wanted to call and confirm that you've got access, when your first call is scheduled, you know how to get support, et cetera, just to make sure you got the admin stuff taken care of. Sent you an email, but I wanted to make sure you got it all squared away. And that's just that extra care, that extra thing that it takes 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And it, again, huge dividends.
I Before you go on, I think that that's actually a really important piece though, because you want to set good expectations of what they can do. And I think in it and I keep using this, I'm like using it every time it seems like anymore, but we're in this Amazon phase of like, right? I want it yesterday and I want it delivered on my doorstep. So if you sell something, um, the customer expects to get it immediately, immediate access. And it sounds like what you're doing is you're just making sure that they're getting access, that they've got, abilities to log in, that they know who to contact, that they understand this is the scheduled appointment. It seems like duh, but it's so much more. And like you said, it's often forgotten.
100%. And then just to just really quickly go kind of deeper on the the psychology behind this is, the client is most volatile emotionally within, those first 48 to 72 hours after making a purchasing decision. Usually, of course, we're talking a coaching program or consulting program, something like that. We're in the thousands. They're the most volatile, but they're also the most susceptible to influence from you. And so
Mhm.
instead of risking the client coming in and for the first, handful of hours, handful of days, they're sitting there like, what did I sign up for? My first call isn't for a week. What am I doing? Da 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 da. You're simply just ensuring that they have a positive experience at the moment where it matters most. Like just to really
Mm.
simply break it down.
Yeah. I think I love the psychology that you're putting on both parts of it, right? Here's the technical side, right? But you're stepping into your customer's mind and you're going, what are they sitting there worrying about, right? Oh, I just wrote this check or I just flipped my, credit card at them. And it's like, what did I do? Right. And so you're reinstating that opportunity of you made the right decision. And I think that there's a lot that you can do in there that really sets you apart to give that customer that experience, not just the natural experience to keep them from, chargebacks, but the natural experience of showing, hey, you're with a company or a team that is really gonna give you the service that you didn't expect.
100%. Absolutely. And so
And I was going to say in today's space though, right? This can be done by anybody. It doesn't need to be done by the consultant or the coach. It can be done by an email, it can be done by a VA, it can be done by automation.
100%, 100%.